Hello and welcome to Teach It Like You Mean It, a podcast tailor-made for intermediate phase educators right here in South Africa. My name is Margaret Botman, and our goal here is to share practical ideas, strategies, and resources that can make us all better educators. Whether you're listening in on your way to school, during a school break, or while getting things done at home, this podcast is for you. In today's episode, we are joined by Pia Riverland, a passionate educator with 4 years of classroom experience. At just 25 years old, Pia has already made a significant impact in the lives of her learners, motivated by her lifelong dream of being a teacher. She graduated with distinction from Varsity College with a B.Ed degree and furthered her commitment to inclusive education by obtaining her honors at Studio, focusing on remedial teaching. Join us as we discuss the power of affirmations for primary school learners and how Pia uses her expertise to inspire confidence and resilience in her learners. Hi, Pia. How are you doing this
Hello,
afternoon?
I'm good, thanks, and you?
I'm doing great, and I'm particularly excited about having you on the podcast. I mean, it's been a while that we've been trying to make this happen.
No, definitely. So happy to be here.
Now, to get the conversation started, I want you to share a little bit of your story. How did you end up in the classroom?
Okay, so I've always wanted to be a teacher from when I was a little girl. Was always the one playing school, and teacher with my cousins and my brothers. So yeah, just through school I struggled, found difficulty in learning, and just needed that extra support. And I thought to myself, there's no better way than to be a teacher, to be the person that I always needed. So when I finished school, I knew exactly what I was going to go into, and it was teaching. My passion lies within helping learners understand maths, and I thought there was no better way for me to do that than to be an intermediate phase teacher. So that's how I ended up here, and absolutely love it. And I wouldn't want to be anything or anywhere else.
Oh, what a beautiful story. Now, one of the things that really inspired me and got me to invite you onto the podcast was I've seen how you share the affirmation resources that you use in your classroom. And it'd be great for us to define what affirmations are and also what the benefits are of using affirmations for our primary school learners.
Okay, so for me, an affirmation is, and it's probably not the correct dictionary definition, obviously, but it's something
Yeah.
that makes you believe that you can do something. So I think it's so important in the classroom to change that thought of not being able to understand something, like I can't do it, I'm struggling, into the I can do it. I know how to do this. I've learned this. I'm clever. I'm smart. I can do this. I think it's so important to have that mindset. And something that's really inspired me was that, like, all through school, I never thought of it like that. But the
Mhm.
minute I'm struggling or I have a learner struggling, if I just go up to them and I just say, you can do this. You're so smart. Let's work through this together. I know you can do this. That instant switch between even the body language, the way they're sitting at their desk, you just see it completely change just by a few little words showing them that you believe in them.
Mm. I know you highlighted that you did struggle a bit when you were in school, and I'm interested in knowing if maybe affirmations did play a role. Did you have teachers who affirmed you?
I did. I had an amazing grade six teacher who's partly the reason that I did become a teacher. And she was so
Yeah.
good with me, just telling me, you can do this, don't worry, believe in yourself. And she really got me through a lot of the things, a lot of the maths that I was struggling with.
I find affirmations to be such a it's a great way to motivate our learners, but I think as teachers, we only succeed with affirmations if we are actually intentional about it. I'm just going to give you an example with me. Even though I was teaching the higher grades, I'd still incorporate using stickers in my learners' books, like a well done, you did better in this task. So I want to know, how do you introduce the concept of affirmations to your learners, especially in our South African context?
So I think affirmations, although we say it, we don't, some people won't always believe it about themselves. So
Yeah.
showing intention behind it, not just saying it. Like you say, the stickers, I think that's such a good example. Like if I put a sticker in my child's book saying, Mrs. Riverland is proud of you, they'll come,
Yeah.
oh, look, I've got a sticker. I'm so happy. Like that's a way to
Mm,
introduce it. And then just keeping on with it. Also, those cards I downloaded from Twinkle, I use them in my class and I'll say, have you seen what this says? It says, you're so smart. It says you're so helpful, all of these things. And I really just think that that's the way to introduce it, not having like a lesson to explain what it is, but rather to teach it through the actions that you're using by saying, look what it says. Do you
yeah.
understand what that means? What does that mean to you? I think that's such an
Mm.
important way to do it.
You touched on something there, and you said you just got to be intentional and keep on with it. I know I gave you the example with the stickers. When I introduced this, at first I thought to myself, "Ah, the kids are gonna think this is so great R." You know what I mean? Um, after some time it kind of wears off and it does not have the same impact on the learner as it did like when you first start with it. So what are some of the specific affirmations that you find particularly effective for young learners? And I think we're looking at, intermediate phase, of course, as a grade 4 teacher. How are the learners receiving them? Which ones are you using? And how are you finding them to be effective?
So I think with grade four, they're still so young and the pleasing their teacher and making their teacher happy is still such an important part of their everyday.
Yeah.
So just being excited about it with them, making sure that they understand why it's being done. So stickers work amazing for me. Another thing I've introduced to make it more affirmations more real, we have a wow. I call it the wow board. So
Hmm.
anything special that my learners do, it can be anything. It can be being kind to someone, helping someone pick up when they drop their pencil case, um, helping, giving someone who didn't have lunch, giving them lunch. Anything that
Hmm.
they do, they get to write their name on this board. And it's such an affirmation for them to know that what they are doing is being seen. I said, that was so kind. You are so kind. Why don't you write your name on the board? And at the end of the term, I'll choose one child from that board to get a reward. And I think that's really been motivating and inspiring for my learners. So above and beyond the stickers and the cards, I think that's something that's definitely worked in my classroom.
Or how have you seen affirmations impact a learner's self-esteem and their confidence? And I think this is particularly interesting because you are a maths teacher, and I'm one of those students who did not do so well in mathematics. And over the years, I literally developed a very negative attitude towards the subject because there was not really anybody there to affirm me. It was all kind of like I had to tell myself I can do it even when I was struggling. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've obviously had a very similar experience where I felt like a lot of the time I was trying to be that for myself. So a lot of I like to use my personal experience to
Yeah.
explain to my learners. So I'll say, just because I'm a teacher doesn't mean that I know everything, doesn't
Mhm.
mean that I was always good at everything. I'm not good at everything, and I'm also allowed to make mistakes. So, my first year teaching, I was so inspired about a child who was in my class who had great difficulties, and by the end of the year, it was like a different child, and I I'm not bragging or anything, but I really feel like
Mm.
I had a huge impact in affirming him and showing him that he could do this and that he could believe in himself and that he had someone to believe in himself. I was there and I made sure that he became what he could be. I helped him to reach a potential that he hadn't unlocked yet. And I think it was a lot to do with the affirmations, telling him that
Mhm.
he's smart, that he can do this, that he doesn't need to worry, he can confide in me, all of these things. And I think it just made such a difference in his life. And that's something that I am really proud of myself for doing.
Um, Now I think, even with affirmations, sometimes as a teacher, you can play your part and, affirm your learners, create that positive environment for them to learn in. However, you find that maybe even back at home, there's a lot of negativity around their academic performance. Perhaps in mathematics, they haven't been doing that well and the family has given up on the learner. Um, do you do anything in trying to give the learners tools of affirming themselves? Because you're not always going to be around.
So I do try to teach them that they need to develop that positive mindset when they're doing something like maths that they feel like maybe they're going to struggle with. Just take
Mm,
a step back, regroup, say some things to yourself, tell yourself you're smart. You can't be going into something that you're battling with all these negative thoughts in your head. You have to clear your mind and say to yourself, I'm smart, I can do this, I believe in myself. And um I like to go about that by telling them that they need to go and think about themselves in a positive light. So I think I have given them a few tools to work with at home. I also think sometimes chatting with parents and sharing what we do is important. Or if a parent comes in saying that they're not happy with what their child has produced this term, just explaining to them that we are still learning and we're growing together and getting them onto the same page as us as well.
And I think as you were speaking, a thought just came to mind, which is affirmations always words? In a sense that does one always have to say to themselves, I'm good enough, I can do this, or have someone say those words to them? Or are there other ways to affirm ourselves or affirm our learners that is not necessarily the usage of words? I don't know, are there specific actions that can be taken that can be affirming? Yeah, that's the question I'm posing to you.
But I think the words develop that self belief. And if once the
Mhm.
words are used, that self belief is there. And that's the most important thing. But I think
Mm,
something like a hug or a high five or a
okay.
handshake for doing something good
Mm,
validates what they're feeling. It validates the affirmation, which I think is important. Also, the cards saying affirming things and the stickers, I think that all comes into play to
yeah.
develop that strong sense of self belief, which is the most important thing and what we're working towards.
And now I know you are pro affirmations, and I'm interested in knowing what kind of classroom culture do you have going on currently in your classroom? How are the learners relating to one another, and how have you seen the impact of having affirmations being used as one of your teaching practices?
So I've noticed a lot of kindness and patience within my class,
Hmm.
which I think can be lacking in today's world, is kindness and patience towards each other. And
Yeah.
those are two of the things that I really strongly believe in, is that we need to be patient with each other. We need to be kind to one another. And I think using affirmations is something that develops those tools. If your teacher's kind to you, your parents are kind to you, you're going to produce kindness onto other people, which is
Mm.
so important. And I think that having affirmations in your class builds on that. And that's what we need in our world.
So, now I'd like for you to share the resources and tools that you use in your classroom, with regards to affirmations, and possibly, recommend some of those resources to our teachers who are listening.
Okay, so I have the affirmation cards from Twinkle. They're nice and bright and colorful, which links into my classroom theme. I have a sunshine classroom theme, so I've downloaded some cards, um, which have affirmations on them, which I've stuck around my classroom, and they've been such a success. My kids absolutely love them. Um, yeah, and then often I'll look at things on Twinkle that are gonna affirm their learning and understanding. So we'll look at PowerPoints from Twinkle, which help them know that what they've understood is correct. So yeah, I've absolutely loved being on Twinkle and just looking through everything and finding those affirmations. They have such awesome resources to use.
Thank you
Um,
so much, Pia. Now, in closing, I don't know if you've got any message that you'd like to share with our teachers who are listening, with regards to implementing affirmations in their classrooms.
Okay, so I would say don't be afraid to try it. Maybe you think it's silly, maybe you think it's not going to work. You're never going to know unless you actually put it up, put it out there and try it. I've learned
Mm.
you have to go through trial and error. And also, and just to remember that we have to affirm ourselves as well. We can't be pouring into these learners if we don't have self belief in ourselves. So believe in ourselves and just go for it. And if we think something's going to help our learners, go just use it. Twinkle has so many beautiful affirmations and resources to use to affirm our learners, and we should be taking full advantage of it.
Thank you so much, Pia, for joining us on this episode's conversation around affirmations for primary school learners. Now, teachers, grab yourself some affirmation resources on Twinkle's website at www.twinkle.co.za. We help those who teach.